Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here with you today. Congratulations, you made it to the end of your conference, and I hope that my presentation will inspire you to go do some great emergency management. Yes, this was my title. Emergency management in Utah, and it's pretty generic. And really, what it is emergency management in Utah and understanding the information you can do family and business disaster. But that was a little bit. So I was short. It's the emergency management. So I work for the Utah Division of Emergency Management. It sits under the Department of Public Safety, and this is our vision and our mission, basically to include our whole community and our preparedness efforts and our response on the community. So we take our mission very seriously. I just left the Emergency Operations Center to come here to talk to you, and I'm going back. We've got flooding on our plate today, so we are meeting with them. We're talking about ordering 1 million sand bags and how we're going to store them and distribute them throughout the state. So that's on our plate today. Our current activation level at the state is enhanced watch. So we started our level 5 from the daily operations to where is going on disaster concerns. We bumped it up to monitoring a couple of weeks ago, and I think yesterday we bumped it up to enhanced watch. We had some flooding in St. George and Fremont also, so we're on alert, watching, coordinating with our locals, and working in the state office, the state emergency management, the state emergency operations center. That's what we need. So today I want to talk to you about 4 things, and the first one I want to empower you with information so that you can make better decisions for your families and friends and your businesses. So I want you to know your risks, and we'll go over what Utah's risks are a little bit. We'll talk about flooding and we'll talk about earthquakes, since those are the 2 big ones that we deal with. I want you to learn about what the government will be doing while the disaster is happening, because it's a lot of unseen work, and a lot of people will say, what are they doing? I don't see them. They're not around. And they just, sitting around. So I want you to understand what we do, and that will help you get a bigger picture. And then I'll talk a little bit about business continuity and how to keep your business going, how to keep your paychecks coming, because that's important in a disaster, and to have a little planning part of that. Then on the last, I can't work for emergency management and not talk about preparedness. So I know you've heard probably a little bit about them, and Jane Ray was talking to you in the presentation earlier. So he's in our office in our Be Ready section, but I would like us to add a little bit more preparedness to give you some information on that. So hopefully those things put you in the right place. Let's talk about Utah's risks. So in our Utah Catastrophic Mitigation Plan, if you're really interested in in-depth information and scientific understanding of our risks, we have it all online. You just Google Utah Catastrophic Mitigation Plan and we'll come up. These are the risks that we identify as our top risks to work on. Earthquake, of course, we have a huge earthquake risk, floods, winter storms, drought. We're still on the drought, even though it doesn't feel like we're in the drought, we're still in the drought. Dam failure, avalanche, we've seen a lot of avalanches lately. And a lot of loss of life in that avalanches. Severe weather, space weather, and climate change. So I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm just going to talk about floods and earthquakes. And let's talk about what's on our plate today, and that is floods. We have a historic snowpack that has not ever been seen before. We have more snow than we've ever had on record. We have a cooler March, and I'll go through all these topics as to why they're important. We have a late snow melt, And we're continuing precipitation. Next week it's gonna rain some more and snow. So we're not out of the woods yet with our collection. Usually we're 10 degrees hotter than we are right now. So usually some of that is starting to come down more. And we want it to gradually come down off at the mountains. So our current situation, this is our snow tail site map. And it shows the percentage of snowpack and snow water equivalent in the snow. So the snow is really wet and heavy. And you know, there's two types of snow when you shovel. The one that kind of just scurries off your driveway, and the rest of it's just like, I'm going to die. I'm here to come inside from shoveling my driveway for the 5th time this week. Where it's like this wet on the bottom, and then there's this other layer of snow on top. So we're talking about the water content in the snow. And it's a lot of, we have over 165% statewide of normal. So we're in new territory for our snowpack. The temperatures in March, like I said, I always said were 10 degrees cooler, which is a factor in how we flood, if we flood. So the longer that March stays cooler, and we get into April, and it's still kind of cool, and then in May, it flips a switch, right? It goes to 80 degrees in May. Then all of that starts to melt really fast. And so we have to really watch that, watch our waterways, pay attention to our streams and rivers and where it's flooding, and proactively sandbag and clean out culverts as much as possible. And that's what the locals are doing right now. Our job is to ensure that state agencies are prepared. So in our emergency operations center, we have tables for all of our state agencies that have part of our emergency operations plan. And those include UDOT, Utah National Guard, Health Department, Red Cross, our BOAD agencies, water rights and water resources. I mean, there's just every state agency that you can think of has a place at the table, and we coordinate with them. We do monthly training every month, and we do coordination calls all the time to make sure that we're all on the same page. So if we have concerns about flooding in southern Utah, we're talking to UDOT about their plan for the roads clearing and culverts clearing and everything else that they have to take care of in infrastructure, that we're all on the same page, that we're all not duplicating resources. I'm not asking the guard to do something that UDOT's already doing. So we have those coordination calls to help us get all on the same page. We also have a job to do that is ensuring the public is prepared. So you'll hear a lot of public outreach on PSL and news radio that has preparedness messages. Our website will direct people, will tweet a lot of information. You can follow Be Ready Utah, you can follow Utah Division of Emergency Management, and we tweet information all the time to keep the public informed, and so that they have the latest and greatest information on preparedness. And we really just encourage preparedness all the time. We really have to keep our communication lines open, and we do that regularly anyway in our planning process. We need to, talk about relationships and everything we do, right? Your family and your friends, it's about those relationships with your coworkers and who you can trust and who has great information in you. When you know for sure that that person has valid, truthful information because of the relationship you built with that person. It's the same with us at the state. And we do that with all our state agencies, and we do that with our local county emergency managers, so that we have that open line of communication all the time. And then we do coordination calls, situation reports, and resource coordination and allocation. So that's what we're doing right now. Is we've had 2 coordination calls already. We've had 2 situation reports, and we're just starting the flood season work that we have to do. We have not had anybody request a resource yet, but we ask every day, is there anything you need Do you need more sandbags? We're ordering 1 million and we're gonna stockpile those for them. Then we're gonna distribute them whenever they need them. The governor has also said that we can use state employees for a day for volunteer hours. So we're maybe the volunteer effort. They need people to come down and do sandbags in Utah County. We'll have a list of state employees that can help, and we can put a call out to everybody in the community as well to help. So, but that was just something that the governor enacted a few days ago. So this is the chart that is interesting, because that top kind of faint line that goes all the way up and down, that's the historic record. So our black line is that one that's kind of blue green on this, but it creeps up and then it just breached the top of that. So that's why we have a historic. For this date, we have a historic amount of snowfall. And we're continuing to have precipitation and snow in the next couple of weeks. So that level could go up. We are melting a little bit. We do have some lower levels that are flooding and lower levels that are melting. So if you look at the mountains and you look at the south side slope, you can see that they're bare for the most part, the lower elevations. So those have already started to melt thanks to the sun. And but the northern sides are still full of snow, and the back higher elevations are still full of snow as well, and lots of snow. If you've ever driven up to Park City lately, there's a ton of snow up there, and the valley all of Wasatch County has just an enormous amount of snow. So these are our areas of concern for flooding this year that we're looking at, and these are pretty much standard areas of concern. Floodplains flood. So we always look at the low-lying areas, the Cache Valley. They have one of some record snowfall as well. Wasatch Bank, Eastern Minnesota, San Pete Valley, Castle Country, and Davidville, Cottonwood Creek. A lot of people live along David Cottonwood Creek, and they have that lovely little stream that flows in my backyard that I dream about in the summertime. How lovely would it be to sit back there and look up on the roof and have a little fire? But you know, today it's probably not too, it's probably pretty wet in the backyard with those creeks. So we're watching those and hoping that those homeowners, and they pay attention to it and prepare for it. Our current actions, like I have said, we are coordinating coordination calls, information sharing. We have resources that we inventory, purchasing of sandbags and sandbag machines, preparedness messages, and local channel work of preparedness. The locals are doing them. So they are cleaning out their channels so that all that water has a place for it to go. So these are some historic floods. There's floods all the time. Last year we had Moab flood and Wayne County flood pretty significantly as well. These are ones that are on the list that were nationally declared disasters. And there's the cost of it as well. We all remember in 1983 the Salt Lake State Street flooding, the 13th South flooding. Now I wasn't at emergency management in 1983 with Granite High School. But no, I did learn about the law at 160. I've been there forever. And so that flood was caused by a couple of things. A lot of people, it's the 40th anniversary this year of that flood. So you'll start to see some outreach about that. But there's some similarities and there's some differences. The difference is in 1982, we had significant rainfall. So our soil content was really high, the wetness of the soil. So it was saturated. It didn't have place for that snow melt to occur. Those aquifers and snow, the soil that catches the snow, the rain, were already full. So we were just ready for all of that to just go downstream. The other thing is that with those wet soils, it's all of the debris and the roots and everything that happen to the soils get loose when they start to melt, start to warm up. So all that debris came out of City Canyon and it stuck into a culvert because the culvert was really small at the time. And then it overflowed the culvert onto State Street, down North Temple at first, and then down State Street and channeled it with sandbags. I have a picture of that later, and had a bridge that crossed over State Street so that people could walk and drive on State Street. Businesses were still being visited, but we just had this river for a few days that went right in. It's just the weirdest thing. But it worked, and it fell down 13th South and then out to the Great Jordan River and to the National Grace on it. So there's been a whole lot of mitigation done since 1983. They enlarged the culverts, they protected channels, large channels, and have scheduled maintenance of those channels. A lot of things have been done since then. So I feel very confident, especially Salt Lake Valley. That one, it's kind of I don't know things always happen. But you know, the flooding that, let's go to the next one is Santa Clara. So in 2005, I can remember watching all those homes that were just fell into the river. So sad. And that was from debris, erosion of the channel. And so they protected that channel, and they protected other channels too, because they realized that that is a vulnerable spot, a vulnerable area with those kinds of soils. So there's a lot of great people, really smart people that are working on some of these things, and hopefully we won't see that again either. So that was 28 homes that failed in that went into the river and wound up. Yeah. And then the last one I want to talk about is Hilldale, and that was in 2015, and that is significant because 20 people died in that flood. It's a mostly polygamous community on the border of Utah and Arizona, and there was a van full of kids and people, and got caught. You know, I think they're having a picnic on the side, and they were in the van and ready to leave, and the bank eroded away, and that van went into the river, and unfortunately, I think one member of the family lived, and the rest all died. It was very sad. And then the next day, there were some hikers that were in the slot canyon, and they also perished. There's about four or five in the hikers. Now, we've also just recently had hikers that have died in slot canyons just this last week, where they're hiking, and you know, it's really hard in slot canyons because one, you have no communication, so you can't really check your phone to see where clouds are and watch the radar. And these are experienced people that are going in these canyons, but unfortunately, they got caught in a storm, and that storm just sat over there, and it just drives so fast in slot canyons and you have no chance to get out. So it's very heartbreaking for us when people get caught in these disasters. So this is the Salt Lake City flood crossing State Street, building little bridges, and then you see the sandbags on the side. And this is Santa Clara, that the house just dumped in the river. And that Santa Clara River is really small. I mean, it's like teeny, and it just grew to from 200 CFS to 6,000 CFS. Just with the amount of rainfall they had in a few days. And this is the van that, unfortunately, one of the white vans, the one that got caught in the stream. So here's some things that I would like you to know. 6 inches of water can knock you off your feet. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's moving fast and there's things, debris and all sorts of things that are in that water, it can knock you off. So be careful. And when you're driving, 18 inches of water can lift your car. So if you see water and you think, I think I know what's doing that. Sure or not. Anyway, take a few minutes to go around the other thing. Floods happen at night, so that's an interesting, you know, that a lot of people don't realize is that we have snow melt all day or rain all day and snow, and then at night it starts to come down. It takes a while to get from the mountain down to the valley, so it usually is at night. A concern I've always had since I was a floodplain manager is that floods happen at night and can slightly worse completely. So with that, I mean, a lot of kids sleep in the basement. I have kids that sleep in the basement. I have a door that shuts that basement. They gotta get locked in somehow. And, but in a flood, it comes right through the windows and it fills up your basement and it shuts that door. And then you can't open the door and get out. So we have to think about that and plan about it. And I always thought, why don't we just have sleepovers upstairs, get your sleeping bags and get upstairs and sleep on the, if it's a stormy night and you think that there is imminent flooding, just bring them upstairs for a night. And also take care of your pictures, all your photo albums, all the important things that you stick in the basement. I totally don't do that. Put them in a plastic container and put them up high and protected. Because everybody, always you see a news story about someone who survived the flood and they're like, I lost all my pictures. Or put